Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Healing with Hila. This is your space for aligning, expanding, and reconnecting with who you truly are. I'm your host, Hila Ferguson. I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist, life coach, and energy worker. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. It took me a minute for this episode to come through. You know, you guys, as normal, it's Spirit taking its sweet time with me. I keep checking and asking about today's episode, and yeah, I'm literally recording it today. And it just wouldn't give me anything. And so I finally had a moment to tune in and get serious and really getting a good reminder of this sacred contract that I have with my guidance. I am so beyond committed to bringing forth information for you guys, for humanity, through this channel, through my podcast, and I refuse to miss an episode. And really sifting through the veil, the fog that I've been feeling, to get really clear on what I should bring forward that is in line with the highest good of everyone. And I do feel like, the current climates are causing the collective energy to be a bit thick and a bit hard to maneuver. And I know that that's really adding to my connection. I have to just work a little bit harder, get a little bit more diligent to hear my guidance and to maintain that high frequency. So my connection is clear, my vibration is settled and constant in that level that I need it to be. So I can bring forward what I need to for you guys, for humanity. I really felt called to create a series of episodes that are going to be all around the laws of the universe. And I'm really, really excited for this download. It felt very much needed and really, really awesome. It ties into everything we've been talking about, but really clears it up, especially for people who are entering spirituality, testing the waters, understanding these principles. And so we will dive into these principles in the next few episodes. And today I really want to open up one of the basic laws that we operate in a universe of unconditional love and acceptance. And in many ways, I think that that ties into organized religions, those that see God as a loving entity, and those of us who tune in and connect into our unseen world know that it truly is the ruling frequency. I've done a lot of work in the spirit world. I've done a lot of work with souls. And I can tell you without a doubt that unconditional love is the ruling vibration, acceptance. There is no good or evil concept. There is only experience and expansion from it. We will take time and dive into the concept of the law of expansion, this universe being a universe of expansion, the law of attraction. And finally, we will have a chapter around destiny and manifesting. which would be a really, really fun one. I can't wait to create that one for you guys. And so far, that's what the series is going to include. And like I said, we're going to focus on the premise that this is a universe of unconditional love and acceptance, and dive a little bit more into what I consider our guides, our unseen support, our spiritual team. I felt called to bringing you some background for myself and just telling you a little bit of my own stories, sharing a little how I got to this point. And then we're going to expand more about how we can utilize this premise as that guidance system that we talked a little bit about in the last chapter. So I was born in Israel and my family was pretty spiritual, raised Jewish. And I remember from an early age seeing my grandma do readings and coffee for people, and my mom talking about her intuition, and just really growing up with stories of the other side. And I always remember talking to them. There was this team of consciousness that had followed me from the beginning, that from truly my earliest memories, I just spoke with. And in my mind, and just like I have an inner dialogue with my own self, and that intuition was nurtured, it was nourished in my family. I was always honest about it. I never felt chastised for it or told to stop. I was always approached with curiosity and just really positive reinforcement. And I remember one of my deepest, most vivid memories, and I feel like anchored experience as a human being, and something that I really truly believe my soul placed for me to remember, was going through the Gulf War and being able to intuitively hear the sirens before they happened. I remember going through that war at 9 years old with such a confidence and a space of faith and trust. I remember not really feeling like it phased or affected me much. There was an inner guidance that I leaned on and trusted so deeply that allowed me to feel safe, and therefore my experience was safe. And giving me this intuitive gift to hear the sirens before they happened was such a pivotal moment in my existence, because I remember telling my parents about it. And right after the sirens would go off, and they just trusted me from that point. And they brought me to their room, and I would wake them when I would intuitively feel it. And we would get prepared and ready and get my sister, and then it would happen. And it anchored for me such a deep experience of trust in my ability, trust in my intuitive connection, trust in my knowings, and knowing that my family valued me and trusted me so much so that they let me guide them through this experience that was extremely stressful for my mom, especially. And, again, I remember having such a deep sense of peace and comfort around the whole thing, and she would just be so freaked out with my sister and so much fear, and it wasn't like that for me at all. And it was all because of this connection that I had and allowed to comfort me and allowed to come through for me. And that is that universal premise of the unconditional love that is out there for us. And so, fast forward this experience, I've just again trusted that voice within me. And one experience led for another. And when I was a teenager, I was drawn to some inner self healing. I wasn't in a great space, and my mom actually sent me to a lady that channels. And that's a common practice where I'm from, where you would go in for readings or channeling that kind of help you. And she was phenomenal. She was such a great direct connection to spirit. And in our channeling sessions, she directed me to Louise Hay and Michael Newton. And both of these authors had such a deep impact for my path and truly the rest of my life since then. Louise Hay is the mother of affirmations. That's what propelled me to do a lot of self work. So, the beginning of my path was learning about affirmations and self healing and how to love myself. And then Dr. Michael Newton was the gateway to the soul work that I'm doing. I was sent to read Journey of Souls, and it changed everything. And even prior to those experiences, later in my teens, even earlier than that, I was drawn to reading about shamanic medicine. I read a lot of the Carlos Castaneda's books when I was 13. I picked up my first book about past life regressions and incarnations when I was 12 at a book fair. It was an some Indian book. I actually still have it. It's not that great, but it's funny the things that my soul guided me towards and that were nurtured by my family. My mom knew about these books. I would borrow them from the library. So it was all really supported. And I truly, truly believe now, especially doing all the soul work I'm doing, that I picked those parents and I picked those experiences for a reason in that way. So I may be of assistance for others so early on in my life and been able to gain experience of 20 years already. And I'm only in my early 40s. After I was exposed to the soul work and the inner healing work, I really moved forward in my path. I've traveled around the world, and at that point, I was living in Holland and I manifested my husband. I called in a partner, asked for a soul match, my soulmate to come through, and he did. And again, that journey was kind of crazy and really pushed me and propelled me forward in listening to my guidance because it was against all rules. He was 10 years older than me and from another continent. And we got together without my parents even meeting him. But that inner wise knowing, that compass, that connection that I have with my soul and my guides, they were always there leading me and showing me the things that would benefit me in pursuing them and fighting for them, even though on paper, society, family might be against it. And like I mentioned, I really feel like it was the foundation that allowed me to build my business, moving into supporting and helping others in connecting to their inner wise knowing helping with their own journey of self love and connection, teaching them the basic premises of the universe, affirmations, the law of attraction, and then moving more into studying that soul space and taking people on journeys that connected them to their soul, to their guides. I was honestly truly inspired by those two books that I feel like started my journey fully, which were You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay and Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. And I love the way that my soul weaved this journey for me that brought me to this moment. And so I've spent a couple of decades now supporting others in helping them reconnect to who they truly are. And again, in those decades, the universal truth, the undeniable truth that I have faced over and over, that the guidance of this universe, your soul, your guides, your God, whatever you want to call it, is that of pure, unconditional love and acceptance and nothing else. No matter what turn I took, no matter what my choices were, I was always loved and supported by that team of guidance. And even if that choice wasn't necessarily for my highest good, it was kind of like, that sense of a loving parent looking in their child and letting them make their own mistakes, but still supporting them and loving them through that. And I think when my clients approach me, when they're trying to sift through their own intuition and understand who it is they're talking to, what voice is in their head, that is my biggest tip, is that your guidance, your soul, your guides, and we'll break that down in a minute a little bit more, are always going to come from that vibration of unconditional love and acceptance. Always. Even if the news are not amazing, it's going to come with that kind of feeling. Feeling, vibration equals feeling. That's how we translate vibration, as we understand it through our feeling centers. And so, touching a little bit now about that guidance that we talked about, and you hear me refer to soul guides and different categories. And it's truly because in the work that I've done, and you guys again need to remember, right? We understand all of this through the limitations of our mind. They are a little bit different in the way that they feel. And so breaking it down for you, it's very similar to Journey of Souls, that book that Dr. Michael Newton wrote, and many other literatures that deal with that kind of subject. The idea is that we have a soul, an oversoul, 100% of energy encompassed of with the imprint of who we are, that takes a certain part of that energy and directs it into a human body, essentially a baby, essentially sometime throughout their gestation and time in uterus. And there's another part of you that is constantly existing in that plane of spirit. We just call it the spirit world. You can direct your energy into multiple bodies, multiple projects, and you have the ability to just learn and expand from those experiences. And so that's what I feel like most spiritual literature refers to as a higher self. That is that soul aspect, an imprint that is very similar to the energy of who you are right now. And in my experience, there are guides, other beings that are here to support you from the other side that have gathered for your highest good. And again, they come with unconditional love and support. Different energies feel a bit differently, hold different roles for us, might change, might shift. And then our loved ones, perhaps our ancestors, people who are related to our linear right now, our human linear, or, people that we've known, loved in this lifetime that support us from the other side. And all of those energies have that huge thing in common, which is they come from a space of unconditional love and support. And so we set ourselves pretty well for our human journey with all of those unseen loved ones and beings, our spiritual team that is really here to support us through this journey. Something that I hear a lot from people, especially early on in their journey of just awakening, is this idea that they don't want to do this again, like, let me be done. I just want to be in a space of unconditional love and connection. And I like to remind them that they chose to bring this aspect of themselves into this space for a reason. They chose a separation so they can crave the unity and really the essence of this world that is that universe of contrast. We truly came to experience the things that we do not want so we can get clear on what we want. And our soul holds that energy of the best case scenario, the best things that can ever happen for us. And that's how that ties into the guidance system that we spoke a little bit about in the last episode. And we'll talk a little bit more today. There is a part within us that always sees the best case scenario. They always see the positive, even in someone else that we might view as a problem. And that place within us that holds that vibration of unconditional love is what is here to help us and direct us into our own space of that alignment and that connection. It's like we came broken to strive to be whole. And that place within us reminds us of what whole feels like. And there's nothing wrong about feeling broken, quote unquote, because that was the whole plan. That was the whole purpose of the plan. And so, if our whole idea was to experience the brokenness, our whole idea in coming here was experiencing the contrast. Perhaps as human beings, we can lean a little bit more into this premise and not feel so terrible when life doesn't necessarily work out the way that we might want it to work out. It's nice for us to remember that if this is the premise that we come from, we are never a victim. Every single thing that happens is happening for us, it's not happening to us. Because the whole idea of being here and experiencing this life and this planet and this body was to experience the broken so we can strive for the whole. And it feels so good to feel that alignment, to feel that wholeness, which is when we bring our frequency to match the frequency of what we call our higher self, our soul self. I find that people who have come from religion, depending on the way that that religion was taught to them, have to do a lot of healing. And the biggest piece that requires the healing was when the concept of God changed from unconditional love and acceptance to anything else. And it does hurt my heart to witness how mankind have shifted that premise because the true premise of the universe and that governing energy. And you can take it higher, right? We talked soul and guides and loved ones, and you can take it a step higher into creator's energy, or you would refer to as God energy. But it's even of higher love and acceptance. It's even of higher unconditional love vibration and acceptance. And so, any premise of a God that brings forth judgment, that is nothing but those two ruling vibrations, is just something that human beings created from that space of being broken. I feel like there's no greater untruth and honestly a disservice to humanity than the concept of hell. This idea, this premise that your pure, beautiful, eternal soul that is of light and unconditional love is going to suffer because of the choices they made while they were in a human body. It is such a premise that is rooted in the need to control, and like I mentioned, from the brokenness of humanity. I have facilitated hundreds of journeys into the afterlife. I have held space for people as they remember their death, and hell was never a part of it. No matter what life they remembered, no matter what terrible things and acts they have done, hell was never a piece of the ending. Once we leave the physical body, there is space of unconditional love and acceptance. And from that space, we can learn and make choices and grow and expand from. But there is no such thing as a space that is here to punish that pure inner wise knowing that is within you. And because this premise is so against your inner truth, it feels so absolutely terrible when you run it through you. So, opening up and inviting that guidance system within you to be of service and to guide you towards the thoughts that feel good, to allow those thoughts to feel good to continue to guide you in your life as you form your beliefs and build those beliefs, those promises in your life around the thoughts that feel good. It's this beautiful connection that the two share that will then shift your vibration and match it to your best case scenario. We will open up more of this space and the subject and the upcoming episodes around these laws of the universe and these premises that we're going to be discussing. And I really wanted to bring forth this next piece for you guys. I kept asking, what else can I bring forth that is of highest frequency and vibration to offer for the highest good of all of us? And my guidance asked for me to channel a love letter for you from your inner wise knowing, from your soul, your higher self. And so I really want you to take a moment with this next piece. Allow those words to sink in, breathe through them, and just scan the way that it feels. If it feels good to you, allow it to become your truth, that guidance system, as it moves you into that space of truth, of inner wise knowing. And I hope that this segment continue to nurture you and allow yourself to return to it whenever you feel like you need that boost, whenever you feel like you need that whisper. My dear you, I am so grateful that you have found your way to my letter. I've been meaning to reach you through the everyday noise, and you are finally here, hearing me, opening your heart, your mind, your soul to my whispers. I want you to know that you are so loved and so cherished. You are so, so brave, and I am so profoundly proud of you. I see you through your trials and through your pains, and I know that even though it seems hopeless sometimes, you push through. And you, my dear, are so brave. As I watch you push through, I know that you grow and expand as a result of these times, and I can't be more proud. When you feel anything but the outmost pouring of love, I want you to know that you are telling yourself a mistruth. And I am here trying so desperately to whisper through the noise so you can remember who you truly are. So you get to see your divinity. So you get to see you the way I see you. You are divine. You are perfect in all of your brokenness and in your strive for wholeness. And I see you. I really, really see you. And I love you. I really, really love you. I want you to know that through all of those moments that you are struggling, I watch from the sideline, cheering you on and whispering to you through those mistruths to just embrace the star that you really are. You are safe to become more of who you truly are, and I am here to witness that blooming every step of every day, of every moment. I cheer you, I support you, I love you, and I accept you for everything that you are through your broken parts and your strive for wholeness. I accept you when you stumble. I accept you when you succeed. And I see you. I really, really see you. And the deepest wish I have for you is for you to see yourself the way I see you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Healing with Hila. If you'd like to hear more like that, join me on my Patreon page for exclusive content and my mini podcast, Midnight Thoughts. I'd love to hear more from you. Leave in the comments anything you would like for me to discuss in future episodes. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. So much love your way.